which goes like this. And what that is I'm playing these two strings of the E, just the kind of the root of it, and keeping that going the whole time. And I'm muting the E down here, so just get the stabs. So when you don't hear those strings, I'm muting them. When I go to the G, which is the change in that one, instead of going, I kind of hammer on from the E string to the G. And that's what the bass is doing, and sometimes I double it, which is a simple pull-off on the D string, a hammer on the A string, and then open D, G on the E string, and then open E.
You obviously can pick very fast, but I've noticed a lot of players who can tend to just play that way and stay away from hammer-ons and pull-offs, but you have a good mix of all those techniques.
Yeah, I like the sound of hammer-ons and pull-offs. Sometimes a pull-off like that sounds better to me than it's just, you know, it's a little bit more subtle, a little less abrasive sounding. You know what I mean? Sometimes it works to go, but other times it sounds good to go. And it just kind of depends on what you're trying to accomplish in the song. And I guess what feels best, you know, that's most important. You know, I would rather play something that feels good to play it rather than like play something that feels awkward, and you know, I guess that would eventually make the song sound awkward.
Lots of different ways to play the same thing.
Yeah, there really is. There really is.
Yeah, great.
Now that is all the kind of different things that we've talked about, you know, and I don't really play like that when it comes to like fitting into a song, I guess, anymore. But I think what I'm doing, and I've never really sat down to like pick it apart, but a lot of it is a lot of hammering. Like that. And in some cases, I'm not even using this hand at all. It's all pull-offs and hammers. I mean, of course, I would start the phrase off with a pick, but then I guess you can see that I'm not picking each note. I'm not going. And you know, it tends to make for sloppy sounding solos sometimes, depending on how it's played. But you know, I think I'm incorporating a little of the right hand leading, and then sometimes it takes a break and the left hand leads. And I think probably what I'm moving fastest is my left hand, whereas the right hand is kind of just there to help the left hand along.
I see. Sort of like more of like a blues approach, blues guitarist approach.
I suppose.
So when you're traveling around in the neck, you played, basically that was an E, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. You were in different spots of the neck. Like say when you get down, do you see, what are you thinking of to keep you in position of E when you're in that part of the neck? A chord? Oh, right.
I'm thinking of this chord. Right. I'm also thinking of what I intuitively know as the octaves. It's like an E scale within there, but actually that's the first time I've ever played that scale. I kind of have learned through trying things Probably from starting at this scale and straying from the scale. And finding notes that fit in with the root of E.
The same notes but in different spots in the neck. So Dave, when you're cooking pasta at home, what do you do to keep it from sticking?
I've always found that if you add a little bit of olive oil, maybe a tablespoon of olive oil into the boiling water, it prevents the pastas from sticking together. And it just makes for a nice, it's a cleaner situation.
Right.
And I'm glad you asked that because another favorite of mine is the Ebo. And the Ebo looks like this. It's an odd little device that is...
What is that?
This, you can buy these at the Pleasure Chest down on Santa Monica Boulevard. I'm joking. You can buy these in a music store. And what it is, I'm not sure how it works. I think with magnets, there's a little battery in here. Turns on, a little light comes on. Remember how I like the lights? And it rests on two of the strings on the neck and vibrates continually the middle string. So, for instance, if I rest it there, it's vibrating that string.
Uh-huh. It's like a violin.
Right, like a violin. And that's one of the things that I picked up from some of my English influences. English guitar players like Daniel Ash is a big Ebo man. And I like to use it with different effects, like the digital delay again, which is, you know, a favorite. The old faulty crybaby pedal, which never fails. Actually, it's easier to do when you're standing up, so I retract the blame that earlier I placed on my guitar tech. And it's basically just keeping the string going, and I can move my hand anywhere on the neck on that particular string, and it will continually play that note as long as I like. And I'm getting those different effects by what I'm doing with the wah-wah. This particular device is featured on the song One Big Mob. I knew there was a one in there, so we have a lot of songs with the word one in them. What can I do? And there's a breakdown, and in the breakdown, instead of playing traditional solo guitar, I broke this thing out and a couple of effects and played around with it. And I think there are 2 tracks of it, in fact, and it just added another dimension, another flavor, tucked it back in the mix, so it was kind of hard to tell exactly what it was, and it just kind of created an eerie tone throughout the song. I love these.
We seem to be getting all the sounds I would think you would want to get out of this guitar. Is this your favorite one? Or?
This one is my favorite one. It happened by accident. I had another Fender Strat, custom shop Strat, that I preferred, and it broke, not by destructive forces. I think I dropped it or something, and the body shattered. So this was my number 2 guitar, and it replaced the number 1 guitar, but as it turns out, I enjoyed this guitar much more. I just kind of never gave it the time of day. And now it's just beautiful. And it's complete with, you know, it's like stuff which makes it have like some life, and that pick guard's out there so you can make noise with that, you know. You know, you need the plate to be off this, you know, so you can get to those springs, because it can make some really terrible sounds. This is a guitar which I am the first to admit is probably one of the most hideous guitars I've ever seen. However, it sounds beautiful. Not when you do that, but when you play it, it sounds nice.
Sparkles, man.
Yeah, it's got a nice little sparkle to it, like you say. And there's a song we have called My Friends, and it was recorded on acoustic guitar, and I used the song